All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Limitless Mindset Podcast. I am excited today. I sat down with Bryce Fransen. He is a lender here in the Phoenix market area. He also runs his own podcast called the Giant Mindset Podcast. You guys can find him on all social media, Bryce Fransen. So it was a great podcast. I'm excited to have you guys listen to this one. Just wanted to give you guys a quick breakdown. We go into all things entrepreneurship. We go into all things mindset, personal development, leaving corporate world, going into the entrepreneurial path, getting into real estate, him on the lending side, me on the real estate side, and all around what it really takes to win and carrying that mindset through of no matter what kind of challenges you face. You keep your head down, you push through them. So give this one a listen. I'm excited. I'd love to hear some feedback and comments from you guys when you're done. Drop it down in the comments section. And as always, I hope you guys get out there. Let's crush it.
All right, guys, welcome back today. I'm so excited for today's episode. We are with Blake Clark, the owner of Limitless Real Estate, the host of the Limitless Mindset Podcast. So on today's episode of the Giant Mindset Podcast, we're going to join together, man. Dude, I'm so stoked. Thank you so much for the time, brother.
We're going to go over some good stuff today. Stoked.
So appreciate it, brother. But, I think one of the things, man, I love about your brand and kind of everything you put out there, and I think that was part of today, is just to be able to share more of that. But it's not always all about real estate, as we were just talking about, but it's all about mindset and your coaching and real estate agents and real estate. But I just love that every single day you're always like, be better, win today, 1%.
Yeah.
So,
inching ahead every day. That's all it is. It's just an accumulation of day-to-day wins, man. Too many people overcomplicate it,
Right.
So
I agree. And you're also a no bullshit kind of guy.
No.
Right.
No.
So, could you give me a snapshot a little bit, for the listeners, for everybody out there, what has helped you kind of get to where you are in mindset at this point in time?
Yeah, it's, I think one of the things that helped me get here is just getting the fuck out of my own way. That's what it is. Like, it's just one of those things that, in my entire 20s, it just took a long time to figure out. I wasn't some dude. I had a super solid work ethic, but also made a lot of excuses, and also just, had a lot of mental barriers that got in my way. Just went through jobs and corporations and did okay and made money and did the whole roller coaster. Grew up very, very blue collar. Like, grew up in trailers and all the fun stuff. Didn't come from money or anything like that. We ended up homeless a couple times just because my dad had lost our house to foreclosure, and went through some unfortunate circumstances when we lived in Vegas. That's how we ended up in Arizona. So it was just this life of just turbulence and stuff. There's a lot of great times. I was raised very well. My parents cared about me and all that fun stuff. So I'm not going to paint the picture like it was all bad. It was just always, something like, if I had to describe my parents' life and mine growing up, it was always like the, one step forward, two steps back mentality. Yeah. And it's frustrating. You see people do well, and then you always have that question in the back of your mind, like, what are these people doing that I'm not? Like, what's the differentiator? Like, why can't I get ahead? And very soon you figure out, contrary to what you believe and what you're told when you're younger, that, they had some head start, they had some family member that helped them out, they had this. No, it's fucking you. You're getting your own way. You know what I mean? You start making excuses, and then you finally just one day get tired of your shit. And that happened to me, my mid-20s, 25, 26. Just kind of made a commitment to myself and said, I'm playing way too small right now. I should be doing bigger. Other people are doing bigger. I got them capable of more. Adopted the mentality, what one man can do, another man can do. Yep. It's not hard. If you just start hanging out with the right people and paying attention to what they do, success leaves clues. Yep. And one of the biggest things is a lot of people are unwilling to make uncomfortable changes, like leaving your cushy ass friggin' desk job in a corporation where you're making 80, 90K. It's uncomfortable, but are you willing to exchange that to make 250, 350, 450, $1 million a year? Yep. A lot of people say they would, and they don't. So it's finally just taking action inch by inch, winning the day, that was the game changer for me. Just got tired of my own shit.
Dude, and it's interesting because I've actually, listen to this, guys. Today's podcast is going to be really good, man. This is the mindset stuff that we're talking about. But I've listened to pretty much every episode. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say this kind of weirdly, but I've kind of studied your journey because I would say it was similar. Like, I'm 31. And it was about, I was married and divorced by 26 for the first time. So basically started over. Cashed out the 401k, like everything. I had jack shit when it got to that point. when I was 19, 20, I was trying to be an entrepreneur. I lived in my car for 2 months at one point.
Yeah.
Was just like, well, I'm not going to go ask for help. Like, I'm going to figure it out.
A lot of people think that's a bad place to be, but when you're at rock bottom, that's the best place to be because you got nowhere to go but up. You literally have nothing to lose. Why not go all out?
I mean, and especially, right? I mean, me and my fiance and I, we were literally today's 50 days out from our wedding.
Yeah.
And the fact is, like, you know, we live in Arizona now. We live from North California. We bought a house. We have nice cars. Like, is it easy?
No.
Fuck no.
Never
But
is.
like, this like constant uncomfortable feeling of growth. And, you know, we have the mortgage team and we have a finance company that I'm starting to build. And like, she's got her job and her branding and she's building some side stuff. Like, there's like this constant, like, we're up at 5 and we're going to bed at 11. And it's like, did we talk today? Sometimes, you know, it's like, it's just this constant grind. But I mean, and we were kind of mentioning like the Ed Milet vibe. That's the stuff I love.
Yeah.
Like who he is as a man, faith and business.
Yep.
And I think there's a little bit of kind of that in who you are and like what you've built, but it's really exciting for me to like watch from afar and then start to associate with you. But was just listening to an episode about that. It talks about like his identity, right? And so it's the mindset and the people that you hang around the most.
Absolutely.
And so if you feel like you're the best of the group you're with, then you need to change the group you're with. And if you feel like you're not going anywhere further, like that was one of the things where it's like, hey, you know, sometimes you cap out with a group of people or a company or a culture, and that's okay. Like it's just development. So, I mean, if someone feels like, man, like I'm hitting this ceiling or I'm kind of getting next level. I mean, yeah, if you haven't started, you're just gonna have to start.
Yep.
Like you got to get a little bit past that conversation because I think everyone kind of is like, oh, if you're gonna start here. It's like, there's only so many people.
You need to be around people that know how to start and can show you how to start, you know. And I just had this conversation with some of my agents because we struggle with this, right? This was a very, very hard point for me because everybody has loyalty to friendships and hanging out with people and the sad reality of it. I don't even say it's sad because honestly, truth be told, like I've met some amazing people. Like some of the people that are in my circle these days and friends with and like people that I have access to are people that I would have never imagined having access to. So the way I relate it to is like if in life it's going to be basically like you're looking at a mountain, right? And there's a reason that like let's relate this to like Mount Everest. There's a reason that only a very few amount of people make it to the top. It's fucking hard. But there's also a reason some people do make it to the top. It's because their will to get to the top was much stronger than other people's were. So as you're hiking up these mountains, and this we'll call this like your progressive journey through life, basically. But as you're hiking through mountains, there's base camps. So like every 1,000 feet up, there's a new camp of people, and you'll notice that the camps get smaller. So everybody's at the bottom of Mount Everest wanting to succeed, which is all of us, right? We're all in life. We're all at the bottom. We're all looking up at the top. Like, how do I get to that top 1% of Mount Everest? And then you got your friends all rallied up with you. We're all going to make it to the top. And then what happens? You start putting in the work and you start taking the steps. And, before you know it, you're hiking up to like base camp number 2, which is a little further down the road from you. And out of your group of 20, 5 people are going to fall off. As much as you like them, you guys all started there initially with the same goal. Hey, let's go hike Mount Everest together. But when shit gets a little tough, they just didn't have the willpower, the mindset, just weren't built for it. So they fall off. So they're like, damn, now we're down to 15. So 15 of you guys advanced to base camp number 2. In life, by the way, that would maybe make you got a better job promotion. You're making a little more money. You're hanging with a little more circle of influence. And so you're always looking at the base camp ahead of you, like what's next? What's next? What's next? But as you make it to that base camp, some people are just going to be like, no, I'm good here. I'm not going to go any further. Yeah, I thought I wanted to make it to the top, but honestly, the oxygen's getting thin. It's getting colder. I'm running out of food, whatever, excuses they make. But your will to win and your determination is going to be higher to keep going. And so now you're down to 5 and then you're 4. And, maybe out of 20 of you guys that started out in life, AKA the bottom of the mountain, as you're hiking to the top of this thing, only 2 or 3 of you guys decided to actually push through it, commit, make it through it, go through the friggin' pain of that. But now the quality, right? You're at the top, and you're only 3 or 4 or 5 of you guys that made it to the top. But the relationships are so much deeper because you guys did the work together. You guys put in the freaking work. You guys know what it's like. Be like, yeah, we hiked the whole damn mountain and we made it to the top. We're one of the very few, right? So it's just a different conversation. But a lot of people are afraid to leave that base camp because it's almost it's like a very desolate in between. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you're like, oh, I got to leave my friends behind. This sucks because I've had that, man. It's tough. I've been friends with people and I'm still friends with 100%. People, but I'll go out to dinner with them and the conversation is just different. It's like, oh, how'd your day go? Good. I hung out and, we had a party on Friday night. And
clocked in, I clocked out.
Yeah, man. It's like, what do you got going? Well, shit, I bought a building. I started a company. I did this. I hit one of our biggest record months in sales. We did $13 million this month in sales. Oh, by the way, I just bought a new Lambo. Shit like that. If you're hanging out with some people that don't have those kind of aspirations, they're like, oh, you're an asshole. Like there's just no conversation or value to be had around growth. And in some ways it's tough because I'll leave those conversations. I'm like, man, I didn't really get a whole lot. And then I'll hang around with other people that are a couple steps ahead of me, and I'll leave those meetings, those dinners, whatever those are. And I'm like, holy crap, I just learned so much. Like it was such a rejuvenating conversation. Those are the conversations you guys should be chasing.
But what's interesting about that is you kind of think about it, and candidly, like I would look at that exact same conversation like this. Like, hey, like you're a couple steps ahead of me. Like, and I think there's some people that look at that, they're like, oh my God, like I can't talk to a Blake because he's too far down. You're like, dude, you're the most approachable dude. Like we message on Instagram, we'll text, like, check in. Like I've been in this 3-month coaching program on Saturdays. Otherwise I would be on yours on Saturday morning. So it's literally from 9 to 1. I've been doing this for 90 days. Cause it's like, well, like, why would you do that on your Saturday mornings? I'm like, because I want to not be where the fuck I was last year.
Yeah, you're always learning. Always
and
learning.
It's constant. So, but you would say that's like you're saying the 1%, you're buying the Lambo and stuff, and people could say, oh, you're an asshole, you're buying things.
Yeah.
But there's a mindset shift that happens because it's just an item.
Yep.
It's just $1. It's just a tool. It's just a reward. It's just a thing, an asset.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, what would you say for you? I mean, money's great, but money, at the end of it, for my opinion anyways, money just gives me time, gives me options. Like what would you say are like your top 5 things you're saying, hey, these are what I define as success?
I think the success, obviously money is one of them, and I don't care what conversation people want to have around that. Money's important. Here's the thing. These fucking people that love to say money's not important to them, I've never seen you fucking wake up for any other reason and get motivated in the morning, right? I don't see you waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to work on your personal development. You're not getting up for that. I don't see you waking up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to go out and spend time with your kids and shit like that. You wake up to go to a job every day where you get paid 20, 30, 40 bucks an hour. It's about money as much as you want to say it's not. The conversation is about money because ultimately you are trading your time for money.
Correct.
So the way I look at it, I tell everybody, if you're on your final day, you're on your deathbed, basically, let's just say, and you're literally like, all right, this is it, your final hour. How much money would you pay to get one more hour with your family? What's that time worth to you, right? $20,
Unlimited.
$30? Like, unlimited. You know what I mean? Like, I will pay any dollar amount to get 1 hour of my time. But you have these people playing life small right now, have no problem sitting behind a desk right now, wasting their time going to the same job every day for $20, $30 an hour. That's what it is. You're basically saying an hour of my time is $20 fucking an hour, $30 an hour, $40 an hour, whatever that is. Never trying to maximize your time. For me, the game is always, how can I, number one, buy my time back? Because that's success for me too. Here's the thing though, you guys have to understand is everybody, in most people in my experience, this isn't everybody, most people I experience to do what really well for themselves, they love working. Like they like it.
100%.
I don't want to retire.
Obsessive.
I don't want, the thought of me at 50 years old sitting on a beach somewhere sounds depressing as shit. That's just me. I'm going to be honest. Because I find fulfillment in work. I find fulfillment in creating. I find fulfillment in helping other people. I find all of that's super fulfilling. Building
the needle.
Yeah, it's not really a dollar amount, right? Like if it was a dollar amount, I remember I put a post up on Facebook when I was like 23 years old, and I was like, if I could just make 6 figures, that's it. I remember I posted that shit, and it popped up like 4 years ago, I think, is like one of my Facebook memories, and I was like laughing. I'm like, man, if I had just stopped here,
holy shit,
I would have been done growing 8 years ago, And so the needle always moves. But to your point, right, I don't get attached to things. Like people, that's another thing that people get twisted is like, oh, you make money, you got to get attached to things. They're cars, they come and go. Anybody that follows me on social media, I've had a lot of them. I had a fucking G-Wagon, I only kept for 4 months. I hated the thing. It wasn't that nice. It's just like, I don't like this.
$200,000 car.
Yeah, man. But what I chase is, I do chase experiences, right? Like, here's the thing. Nobody's going to tell me that taking my kids to school in a friggin' 1993 Toyota Corolla is better than taking them to school in a Lambo or some shit. You know what I mean? And not saying that's important. It's just the experience of that is saying, I got to experience something like that. That's it. It's an experience. And then when you have it, you sell it. You don't get attached to the things. You get attached. Like for me, they were always goals. Like I remember being a kid, especially and this is the thing I struggle with people that try to make it out like having materialistic things is a bad thing. And in some ways it can be. If you attach that to your identity, you're chasing a never ending game. They're literally, if your whole identity is I'm working to buy just this, and then once I have it, that's it. That's me. That's a very never-ending game. It's an infinite game. You'll never win. But if you're chasing it as goals, it can be extremely beneficial to you because, for example, like for me, growing up as a kid, again, not having anything, I had a little trailer. I remember I had it was like at this book fair. I bought this freaking poster. Everybody probably had the damn thing. It was a white Lamborghini Countach. Doors were up, checkered floor, blue background. It was like one of the most iconic posters that everybody had, and that was up on my wall. I was like, man, one day it'd be so amazing to own this. I ran into a guy that was pretty young. He was like 28. This was back when I was like 24, 25. He's like at a car wash getting his friggin' Aventador washed. And I was like, damn, dude, what do you do for a living? I remember going up top, really nice guy, gave me tons of great advice, you know what I mean? And it was just like, I'm going to own one of those. And then I told myself, I remember in 2018, 2019, I was like, I have to have my own, like pay cash for it by the time I'm 35 years old, I told myself. 2020, I made it happen. I went like all out, saved up the cash, like did good, had a good year. I technically like didn't let my foot off the gas because that was a goal. I was like, oh, I'm running out of time. And that goal got me to like really push my business and scale up and do that, right? And then I bought the car, I had it, and then I sold the damn thing for $1 bills. It's on YouTube if you guys go look.
Dude, I watched that. That's hilarious.
But the point is that was a car I dreamed about my entire friggin' life, right? Like that was something that was just a goal for me. And once I got it, I was like, okay, cool, I got the car. What's next, right? Yeah. And then I sold the car. I didn't keep the car. I didn't love the car. I loved driving it, but I didn't. It's not like something. It's like, oh, guys, this is my identity. It's a car. No, it's a car. It comes and goes. Same thing with the house. Same thing with anything else. It's that next level in life that you're chasing for a higher experience is what it is. And people, they talk themselves out of this shit. Like, there's no way you're going to tell me I put a friggin' $1 million on the table for those people that say, I don't care about money. Hey, you want this $1 million? They're not going to turn around. Nope, don't want it. See, they'll take that shit.
Oh, 100%.
They just try to talk themselves out of it and bring their goals down because it's easier to tell yourself, oh, that's dumb, I don't want that, than to say, yeah, that would actually be pretty cool to experience something like that. Yep. There's nothing wrong with taking your wife or your husband on a really nice vacation, like earning some money for that. Like there's nothing wrong with giving your kids different experiences in life. You know what I mean? All of those things take money. Even if you don't want a nice car, you want to take your kids to Disneyland and show them something different. You want to take them to different parts of the world. You want to take them to Washington, D.C. and show them all the history in the country. All that shit takes money.
Yep.
Why would you limit the amount, and why would you bring your dollar per hour that you have on this earth down to tell yourself it's not important, when in reality you have the ability to make as much as you want? It's infinite. You just have to figure out that you pay a tax on being ignorant, basically. That's what I tell. It's called the ignorance tax. Mm-hmm. There's people out there making $1 billion a year. Yeah. I could be doing it, but because I don't have the knowledge yet, I pay a tax in a less income earning. You know, it's called the ignorance tax. Like, and my goal is, how can I decrease that tax? How can I learn as much as I can to earn more? Well, I got to learn to earn and get that tax amount down, right? The life tax. So,
bro, dropping knowledge. You guys hearing this? This is good, man. So two things actually to what you said. One of them is and I'll have you comment on this, but hey, the ignorance task. In reality, I feel like it's like we're kids, or we astronauts, we're gonna be this, we're gonna be that. Yeah. We like lose the ability to dream once you get to this certain age of adulthood, and you're told to go to school, get a good, like all that shit, right? Yeah. And then number two, it's interesting. You kind of say put the money on the table. Yep. There's a reel that I've watched many times. I've actually saved this quote and this kind of this comment. It says, hey, if there's $10 million, I'm gonna give you $10 million. Like, would you take $10 million right now? Yeah. Like 99.99% of people are going to say, yeah, I will take $10 million, right? But it says, but you cannot wake up tomorrow morning if you take this money. Yeah. Will you still take it?
Well, of course not.
and it's interesting because it's perspective. Yeah. Like all of a sudden, well, literally 24 hours is not worth $10 million. So if it's not worth 10 million, and then we're focusing on like the 20, 40, $50 an hour. I mean, even if you're making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year and you're not where you want to be, or you don't have time, or you're not getting to a place, like if there's no goal in time to where it's like, hey, the goal is to not have to input time. And we talk about this, like with the finance, and we talk about, hey, like retirement options for people. I always tell them, look, I don't even like the word retirement. I call it job optional. Yep. It's your decision, what you spend your time on, what is passionate, what is going on. Like what stops us, whatever the hell it is society wise? Like, what do you think people hit and they just stop dreaming?
I don't know. I think that's just their will to win. Like, everybody's got a price that they could be bought. Like, that's what it is. Like, like when people say they don't, but it's like, you just made a great point, right? Like, we all want to grow up and be an astronaut. We all want to grow up and be a police officer, a firefighter, all the cool shit they tell you to be as a kid. I had the same aspirations. I think mine was an astronaut, but there's a point in life where you give that up, right? Whether you have bills that need to be paid, you have a kid when you're young, which I had that, you know what I mean? Whatever circumstances in life happens, there is a point where you stop, and that's because you were able to land or secure a job that paid you a certain dollar amount that you believed was worth your time. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. And you say, well, why aren't you pursuing your goals? Like, do you want to work at Circle K right now? If there's anything wrong with that, if that's your dream goal, I'm not knocking that, right? Like, some people, that's their dream job. Somebody has to do it. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're there and you don't like it, why are you there, and why are you not making a change? And it's because your will to win's been bought for $15.80 an hour, like whatever it is, you know what I mean? So you don't have the faith in yourself to go pursue your goals and your dreams because it's going to be challenging. It's going to be hard. Maybe it takes a little extra work, right? I got this job and I don't know where to start. Our playing field's so friggin' level today. Like it's crazy. We all have access to YouTube. We all have a damn smartphone. And I've seen friggin' homeless people with a damn smartphone in their friggin' hand sitting in parks right now. You know what I mean? Like like when we were kids, the shit that we have access to now, when I was a kid, I did not have access to. Not even when I was 20, like the last friggin' 13 years, that stuff that we have access to. Yep. I remember, if you wanted to go try to reach out to somebody, you were talking about accessibility to people that were doing better than you. You had to freaking write a letter out and mail that shit to them, and hope that they responded to you. Dude, you could literally find the person on Instagram and fire off a DM now that fast. Like you basically have collapsed time and your ability to accelerate where you want to go. And everybody just makes fucking excuses about it now. Like their will to win's been bought by an hourly wage. That's what it comes down to.
And I think it's also like, what is your driving factor? I mean, for me, like, honestly, like my biggest, like my driving passion is how do I like it's helping people. Like it genuinely is like, whether that's the real estate or financial services, like it's everything money for me is kind of like the passion. Like how do we change this? Or the stuff I've been learning the last couple of years, I'm like, we don't teach this shit in school. We don't teach people the simple things like estate planning or how to leverage life insurance or how to have how to have a job or how to be tax-free, how to be taxed. Like the stuff that you're like, what is that? Like the fact that someone's like, that sounds archaic or that sounds weird. Like, it's because if we are W-2 jobs, which again is fine, like there's plenty of it, but so many people that I've helped like with investors or like we do the financial education, they're like, dude, like I didn't know any of this. And I'm like, you got $1.5 million in stocks and you got 4 or 5 rental properties and you're just getting annihilated with taxes, or you're getting annihilated with just like how to get your time back. And it's kind of sad to me to kind of see that. And it really is like, it's mindset, and people like, we want to create something different, but it's who's willing to put in the work, who's willing to go above and beyond. Like, man, like, I mean, I can think about it Monday and Tuesday, literally like Lauren and I are working in the same house. We're up at 5 at the gym, not quite at 3 a.m. yet, but we're up at the gym by 5:30, like, and it's 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I still got 19 other things I should be doing, but I'm like, I gotta go sleep. And so it's like when you have an obsession that is that driving, and it's all like, how do I basically take somebody, how do I help them get ahead today? How do I help them win today? Right? Like, dude, I love those little posts, man. Like all this stuff. And that's one thing too. Like, I don't know, you get a lot of comments and stuff about your content and all this stuff. And just like you hop on and you're just like, let me just drop some facts while this road takes me 3 hours to get down it. Or
man. You gotta utilize that time.
But I mean, like, so it's taking mindset. You've gone through the the business, you have the real estate. Now you've done drop shipping. Now you've done, coaching and stuff. And can you speak a little bit on the coaching piece? Like what made you want to do some of like the coaching? I know it's just the group chat on Saturdays, but I know you go one-on-one, you go really, really deep. Like what drove you to want to add?
Well, because I used to think that what was important was money. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, in what I figured out very quickly was, we were talking about the possessions, right? Like that shit wears off really fast. Like, I'll be honest with you, so I get obsessive about things. Like, and what I mean by that is like, okay, I'm obsessing over, this is my new goal to make this much per month, and I'll make whatever I need to make happen. Like, I'll go all in. I'm like, I will literally work 23 hours a day. It drives my wife nuts. She's like, it's time to stop. And I'm like, no, we got this goal to hit, Same thing with a car. Like, and she knows, like, she almost laughs about it now. Like, it used to really piss her off, and she just laughs now. Cause I'm like, I'll tell her like, oh, I found this I want. And she's like, oh shit, here we go. Cause she knows, like, I'm just going to get it. Like, it doesn't, like, literally. And then I've gotten really good at like making decisions fast. So if I know I want something, I'll go after it. So what I figured very quickly was, though, that no matter what that dollar amount was for me to make, it wasn't that fulfilling, right? Like, it was kind of eye opening. Like, I've had days where I've made as much money as I used to make in an entire year. And at that point, when I remember looking at like one of my biggest checks that I made, and the thought came to my head, like, God damn, that took me like I used to like make it. Like, this used to be 2 years salary for me when I first got married to my wife. You know what I mean? Somehow, how the hell did I live on this, right? And then the feeling was like immediately like, okay, what's next? What's a bigger number? I'm like, God damn, this is a problem with me. It's a gift and a curse in some ways, because it's a curse, because in some ways, I'll be honest with you, the downside of that is I don't know if I'll ever feel 100% satisfied. I don't know if there's ever if anybody's ever like, what's the number? I don't know if there's a number because it's not really a number. It's a constant, what's the next step, next step, next step. I don't have an end goal. That's the hard part. Like I try to tell people, and that's just ingrained in you. Like most people I know that are uber successful, by definition, everybody's like, when's enough? The question is always the same with these guys. There is not enough.
There's
like
never.
I know so many of them that could retire tomorrow and they would live a life even better than I have in what's called retirement. And they're like, no, but I just like working. They like, that's the fulfilling purpose, right? Like the moment that they let their foot off the gas and they stop creating, they stop building, they stop adding value around them. That's the day they die in their eyes. And that's how I feel. But what I found was very fulfilling to me. That was like a feeling that was way better than getting money. It was just seeing other people win. That's what it was like. And I figured that out probably about 5 years ago when I really started like my own team. Okay. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like, I'll be honest with you. I know that story. Like I did not have any intention to start it. Like this whole real estate thing, I didn't have any intention to do. And people, it blows their mind because I'm like one of the top 1% in the state right now. And I own a brokerage and agents, and it was all by accident. Sorry to, break anybody's fucking dreams that like they want some magical story. Like I grew up in this amazing real estate family and my great grandpa was a real estate tycoon, and now it didn't happen that way. Guys, grew up in a fucking trailer and my family's all blue collar, and I've probably been the one that broke free of that. You know what I mean? But
you were the one.
Yeah, but the whole thing started in real estate just because I didn't know what to do. I lost my job. I got fired from a 401k job because I went against the grain. Had a competition at work. They were like, it was just a really weird time at this big corporate job, and I was ranked the number 3 highest producing team at 23 years old in a corporation, because I had a job where I was digging ditches for $12 an hour, and they're like, hey, you want to come in and work here? And you can make 30 grand a year starting in air conditioning. You get free college. I'm like, fuck, sign me up. It was like 115 degrees in July. So I went and signed up, and they're like, all you got to do is make phone calls and tell people to go to college. I'm like, this is common sense. Like, who wouldn't do that shit? So that's what I did. And I blew it out of the I thought it was the easiest job ever. Well, like everybody else that started in that and they like didn't really experience digging ditches for $10 an hour in 115 degree heat. They thought that job was hard. I'm like, you guys don't know what the fuck hard is. This is easy. So got in there and crushed it. Like 6 months. They're like, oh, you want to be a manager? Had zero room to be a manager. You know what I mean? I was like, just didn't have any room to be that. Did good anyways, went up through the ropes. That's where I learned so many leadership things. I attribute that career and that job to helping me with leadership, because I learned I more than what I learned what to do, I learned what not to do. 100%. I really, like, looking back on that, like I screwed up so many things. I'm thankful and kind of in some ways wish I could go back and fix a lot of that. But either way, it's lessons. And so when I lost that job, like it was really pissed me off. Like it was a pivotal point for me, because it was like, man, I'm literally like the number 3 person in this company. I'm performing. I'm doing well. Backstory on it was, they're like, you can't have competitions. One day I sent an email out to my team. I was like, hey, whoever makes the most outbound calls, I'll take you guys to lunch today. HR audited my email, called me in the office. So like, competition, you're fired. Wow. And I'm like, I'm the fucking, out of 10,000 employees, I'm the 3rd highest guy in the company. And they're like, yeah, sorry, you broke a rule. I'm like, fuck you guys. And I was out, and I was like, I'm done. Yeah, see ya. Create my own rules. Then I'll play with my own fucking sandbox. And so at that point, I was like, I'm done working for people. And so, so, I went and started my own company and did my own thing, but I didn't know, like, but the scary part about that was, like, there goes the 401k, there goes the retirement, there goes all the shit that you're like, oh my God, my comfort, it was gone. And so I just was like, what do I do? I remember my wife and I were like, well, what do we do? We don't have retirement anymore. Like, we had to pull some money out of our 401k to live for a little while I like was kind of working these odd and end jobs. I even got a CDL. I was delivering food at night to Taco Bell's and Jack in the Boxes and shit in the worst parts of Phoenix just to pay the bills, while during the day starting a marketing company. And so, like, I did what I did, right? You just had to pay the bills, met kids and stuff like that. And I remember just thinking, like, I don't know, but it seems like a lot of really wealthy people own real estate. Like, I kept reading that because I was like exploring, like, what do you do for retirement ideas? And like, it kept coming back to, like, it was like stocks, real estate, I think that was about, and business owner. Like, those are like the top 3, I think, according to, like, wealthy people. And the reason I didn't go with stocks and I went over real estate was because this really weird thing, like, I grew up homeless. Like, we didn't have housing. Like, being a kid, and like, we used to bounce around kind of like from houses. I remember we had one and we lost that, and we lived in a rental for 6 months, and then we, couldn't pay the rent. We were homeless for a little while, stayed in an office building in Phoenix, grew up and then like moved to South Phoenix in this other little crappy trailer, and it was a really bad area. Like, we had cars getting stolen and shit. So like, I just had like a lot of transition as a kid. I remember before I was 18, we lived in like 6 or 7 different houses, a couple different states. And I was like, so now I have this super weird attachment to houses where I buy properties. And I was like, I want to own as many houses as I possibly can because number one, it seems like that's what rich people do. But number two, I never want to be homeless again. So no matter what happens to me in life, I got choices. I got fucking houses. That's like, I kid you guys not. That's how this whole weird thing came about. At least it made sense in my head. So I got my real estate license just to say, hey, I was doing some e-commerce at the time. I was doing some marketing. So I was kind of doing all these little side hustles and stuff, bringing money. And I was like, I want to just start shoving that over into buying some rental properties and stuff. I bought my first rental before I had my real estate license. And then my first primary residence I bought, we kept that as a rental. I lived with my wife. I moved in with her, and then we had her house, and then we sold that. We bought one that we flipped as we were living in it. And right about that time, I got my license. I was like, all right, we've done this like 3 or 4 times. I think we're onto something here. Kind of, let's just get a license. That was not with the intention to buy or sell. It's just I happened to get my real estate license, and then a friend of mine that I worked with was like, "Hey, can you help me sell my house?" I was like, "Yeah, sounds good." And I helped him put his house up, and the damn thing sold like right away. And I was like, "Oh, this is fucking easy." The biggest mistake ever, because my next transaction, number 2, was like the worst transaction. But yeah, man. And then it just went from there. Like I've always been a numbers guy, so like I've always been like, hey, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. And I think that translates very well with some people, because when they come to me, like you said, I'm a straight shooter. I'm going to tell you, this is a good deal, this is not a good deal, this is how it makes sense. So from a sales standpoint, I'm a very logical thinker. I'm not an emotional. I don't sell on emotion. I sell on logic. So did good first year. I think I did
probably tell the U.S. media a little bit about that.
Yeah, man, it's common sense. So first year in real estate, I think I didn't do anything crazy. It was like 6 or 8 transactions. Year number 2, I want to say I did like 18 or 20. And then like year 3 was on though. Cause I was like, I remember year 2, I looked at my total earnings for the year. I was like, damn, it was like 80 or 90K, somewhere around that. And I was like, that's more money than I'm making right now. My other hustles, well, let's just see what this happens. And then I remember like right around the end of year 2, going into year 3, I got pretty busy. And I told my wife, I was like, you need to go to real estate school. And she was like, okay. Because I was like, I just need help. Like, I don't like, it just got to the point where I was out like showing 4 or 5 houses a day or like to clients. And it just was like getting hard. I was like, I think I need like at least a little assistance here. And so she's like, okay, I'll go get my license. And then she got it. And then our daughter was still super young. She's like, I don't think I actually want to do it. I'm going to hire, like, I think you need to hire somebody. So we ended up bringing this lady we knew on, and that was like the formation of my team. And then before you know it, like I started getting good results, and then everybody started reaching out to me. I think Caitlin Culver, she's actually downstairs right now. She was one of my original second team members. She calls me. She's like, hey, can I come over and mentor you? I was like, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, fuck. I don't know what I'm doing. Come over, guys. And dude, I was fumbling that shit so bad. I was like 5% split. It's like the dumbest shit ever. We were running it out of my house. Like I had no clue what I was doing. Like the brokerage I was at, they didn't know anything about teams, and I didn't even know if we were a team. I was like, I just need help, guys. And these people like were just gravitating towards me. Like, can you teach me? I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but sure, come hang out. And that's how it started, and then through that process now, time and time again, I've had people come to me, and what I found feels really good is taking people that wanted to escape the rat race that I did, or wanted to make a change in life, that were in their own way. And I was able to break the barriers and lead by example, and just be like, this is how you do it right here. This is what's getting in your way. And I'm pretty good at that. Like I could see people and see right through their bullshit and see what's getting in their way, and just call them out on it and say, here's what it is. You need to do this, put these systems in place. And every single one of those, I never got tired of it. It wasn't like, oh, I bought a car, I'm tired of it, I made this much money, that's not enough. Every time I saw that, I couldn't get enough of that. Like I was like, it feels really good to see people like go out, because now you're impacting lives, right? Like I've had people come to me, single dads, that like were able to, like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm working 2 or 3 jobs. I never see my kids to be like able to have some financial security. I've had single moms, right? Same thing. Like kids are in daycare. They couldn't even barely scrape together. You know what I mean? They're killing it now, top agents and stuff like that. I've had people come to me that wanted to start real estate teams that, hey, here's the blueprint. Here's exactly how I did it. Here's all the things, by the way, you don't want to do. And so I taught them that, and they're dominating it now. And that feeling never got old to me. And so as we headed into 2023, with the economy being what it is and everybody's struggling and like deals were going slow, I'm getting busy. And it's not by coincidence. And you'll notice right now there's a really big divide going on. You're going to see the people, you'll see people that are falling out. Like in the real estate industry, we got people falling out left and right now. Yeah. But we also have people that are absolutely going the other way and killing it. It almost seems like the middle ground's getting separated. So my goal this year going into 2023 was, I'm just going to help as many people as possible. And I don't need to do the coaching shit. Like this will hands down be my personal biggest year in production on real estate, which is crazy.
Let's go.
Yeah. So,
but it's the worst
It's the worst year, but
but
this is the best year I'm having so far as like sales in my entire career so far. Like this will be, I'll be blowing it out. Yeah. But I've got a couple of my agents who are doing the same thing. They're having their best years. It's just excuses. People like, oh, the economy's bad. No, there's ways around it. There's always action. Money is always changing hands. You just need to figure out what value you can add to help those people and be in front of it. And that's what people can't understand. They just hear the word bad economy. No, bad for who? In any economy, 100%. There's always, in a down economy, there's good for some people. In a great economy, there's bad for some people. You need to figure out what that looks like and what value you bring. And so my goal this year was going into it, I'm just going to help as many people as possible, because that's a feeling that no matter what dollar amount I hit, no matter whatever, if I can impact lives and help people pull through this and just, completely change the direction of their lives and stuff like that, that's fulfilling for me. So that was the whole reason for it. That's literally why I'm doing it. So,
dude, honestly, like, I would feel, and I think this is one of the reasons why it's exciting to kind of talk to you. Like I said, I mean, Ed Milet's probably one of my biggest sort of influencers, of business, of faith, of kind of everything. But I actually kind of feel that, as we talk about it, a little bit respect even more so for you because of that type of stuff. Like exactly what you're saying, that's the shit that drives me. Yeah. Like making money is great and having our time. And obviously I'm not at result level that you are at, but it's like, when you have those results or you have the impact in coaching, I mean, it's whether it's clients or, we have a small team, a couple of loan officers, I have a small agency on the financial team. And it's like helping somebody get to that next level, or whether that's just thinking or association or information. But what I heard is kind of interesting is honestly, like it just happens, but it's, you are positioned now to help the person you once were. Yeah. Right. And so you were once nothing. You didn't have anything. You figured it out. You kind of worked through it. And so mindset. And so the coaching piece is huge. I know that one day, Lauren and I've already kind of started to lay this out. I was like, I want to do coaching more. So like coaching people, helping people, develop people, but that also means that we constantly have to be growing ourselves. Oh yeah. Right. Because if we get to the end of times where you're like, hey, if I'm at my deathbed, what's the money I spent for 20 more minutes? Right. And that's why I think it's never stopping, because when we're ready to like walk through the gates of heaven and be like, hey, whatever you believe, like, and I'm like, hey man, like who is myself? Who is myself here? Who was I supposed to be? How close did I get? Because it's always a moving target.
What's that gap going to look like?
Yeah. So it's like, I don't want to ever get there and be like, damn, I didn't do enough, or I didn't help enough people. And I think if you have the mindset of just creating that impact, like, I mean, we get paid in direct portion amount of people we help, amount of problems we solve.
People don't understand that. It's a super simple equation. But the truth is, like, it's super selfish if you don't want to help people. Nothing pisses me off more than people that are like super successful and they just basically shun to helping anybody and they like want to keep it this secret. Like that, you're selfish. You're a selfish individual. Like your goal and your obligation is exactly what you just said. You work on becoming and building the best person you can possibly be, whether that be physically, mentally, financially, all the areas in life you build yourself up to. 100%. And then it's your obligation to share that with the world. Like it's your obligation to give yourself back to the world. And not enough people take that into account. They think they reach some level of success and like, oh, I'm going to keep it to myself. I'm not going to, like, especially in my space, that's the biggest thing. Like so many of these agents get out there and they do good and you ask them for help or, hey, what are you doing? And they're like super tight-lipped about it. Yeah. There's no secret. Like there ain't no secret. Like you probably have a system or a process that works well or a certain script or anything like that. Yep. There's so much business to go around out there. Like that's literally, I'm on social media giving free shit away all the time with half the stuff I do, because there's no like, I couldn't sell every damn house there is out there, nor do I want to. I don't need that. Like I'm happy working with my 5, 6, 8 clients a month that I work with. You know what I mean? That's my threshold. That's where I'm comfortable. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's less, but that's it. Like, and there's more than enough pieces of the pie for anybody else to get help. So I can tell you right now, after everybody I've helped, all the team members I've developed, built up, personal people I've coached and stuff like that, none of that has ever taken away from my business. It's never shrunk my marketplace. I've never been like, oh, I lost deals for that. Like, it's such a scarcity mindset, and that's the shit that holds you back. Like, really, it's the stuff that holds you back.